got to start out by saying I've been to a number of events at Gracie, but far and away, this is the best dressed crowd at a Gracie event yet. Hi, I'm Lisa Zornberg. It is my privilege to work for the mayor of New York City as his chief counsel. It's also a great pride for me to be a donor to UNCF. I want to just give a word of thanks to Diego Aviles, and I want to say a couple words about how I met him and Dr. Lomax. That's quite personal to me. I was here at an event in December to celebrate Hanukkah with the Jewish community. It wasn't exactly a joyous celebration. It was on the eve of the October 7th attacks, and there were a number of families who had flown in from Israel, children included, to hold up photos of their loved ones, their fathers and nephews and uncles who were hostages and who are still hostages. And at that event, Diego and President Lomax were there to say publicly and to a group of people who are in deep pain, really, that we are all about building bridges in the United States and across the world to stamp out hate and to understand each other better. And it gave me, in a very personal way, a sense of the big tent that UNCF is, to do things that are decent and right and good. And UNCF has been doing decent, right, and good things for 80 years, which is... So I'll keep this very brief, but I want to say that in today's world, with all of the global challenges that we face as human beings, I think we all, each one of us, need allies for decency. Allies for decency, just to be upstanders for what is decent for one another in the moment and in our society. And on that note, it gives me tremendous pride and pleasure to introduce to you someone who I have come to know over the last 9 months as one of the most authentic and decent human beings ever to lead New York City and to add his stamp on humanity, the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Lisa. Really kind of you. And thank you, United Negro College Fund. And I have been talking about this for a few weeks now, and I think nothing personifies it more than what this gathering is here today. It's all about this relay that we call life. And we ask ourselves over and over again, and sometimes we aspire to see the conclusion of the race. But that's just not the reality. So many people are not going to be a part of running across the finish line. And the question becomes, what do you do with your mile? What do you do when you have the baton in your hand and you are on the track, and the accomplishment to have a few seconds more so who you hand off the baton to would be able to finally come to a real conclusion. And we saw it over and over again, and particularly in the African-American experience, is really, I think, is typical in every group, in every experience. We're running our mile. Nat Turner ran his mile and handed it off to Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey ran his mile and handed it off to Dr. King and Malcolm X and Rosa Parks. They ran their mile and handed it off to Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson ran his mile and handed the baton off to Reverend Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton ran his mile and handed it off to Barack Obama. Barack Obama ran his mile and handed it off to VP Harris. VP Harris ran her mile and handed it off to me to be the mayor of the most important city in New York. Running our mile. Running our mile. And because so many have successfully run their mile. And you just have to take a moment and reflect on where we are. When I was in Africa in Goree Island, standing at the door of no return, who would have thought those who did not jump overboard, those who were not killed and murdered, those who lived months in a dungeon would make their way here to America? And because we listened to the soothing voice of Lou Rawls saying a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and black grandmothers and grandfathers and those of other communities who knew how important it was to make sure HBCU would stand up, they would send jars of pennies and coins and dollars to the United Negro College Fund broadcast. And what did we produce? What is the outcome of the visionary 80 years ago saying a mind is a terrible thing to waste? Hakeem Jeffries, the first person of color to lead a party in Congress. Letitia James, the Attorney General. Mayors of color in Chicago, mayors of color in Atlanta, mayors of color in St. Louis, mayors of color in Los Angeles. 3 of the largest big cities in America is headed by mayors of color. Right here in New York City, Jumaane Williams, public advocate, citywide. Eric Adams, mayor, citywide. Adrian Adams, speaker, citywide. Carl Hasty, the leader of the city assembly, statewide. Andrew Stewart Cousin, the leader of the Senate, statewide. Look at where we are, because a mind wasn't a terrible thing to waste, and we contribute and raise the money to really lay the foundation of what we can become. Now the question is, with all of this chocolate, what are we going to do with it? Because we could not face the problems that they faced when they started HBCUs, and we still have those same problems now. Because if that is the case, then what did they fight for? The goal is not for us to complete the task for our personal sacrifices. The goal is to complete it so we can start dismantling the historical racism and isms that we have seen in this country. That's the goal. The goal is to make sure, while we put dyslexia screening in our schools, so 30% of our inmates at Rikers Island don't have to be dyslexic like I am and believe that they are dumb and not just learn differently. The goal is to look at black unemployment that we saw in this city before my administration. We saw black unemployment through the roof, and we have decreased black unemployment by 24%, and for the first time in over 4 years, under 8%. The goal is to deal with the infant mortality and maternal morbidity rates that are superseding the numbers for black women in our city. The goal is to put people on the pathway of the prosperity of this brand, that everyone could experience the brand of New York. That's what HBCUs are about. Du Bois had it right. The talented 10th going back into our communities and lift them up. We can't be just. I couldn't be just a police officer. I went in and I spoke with young people of what to do when stopped by the police. You can't be just a financier. You have to go in and deal with financial literacy, so when our babies leave college, they're not dealing with credit card debt as well as other debt. You can't only be just a doctor with so many medical issues that we are facing with a sick care system that feeds and put our loved ones on the various medicines without practicing the real health and healing that's necessary. So this is a moment that HBCUs are producing the brightest minds of our times, but it can't be just the occupations that you're taking on. We must go beyond just and become who we ought to be and develop our full personhood so other people can reach the potentials that we were able to reach. I am the mayor of the city of New York, the most important city on the globe, because of the HBCUs who came and wrapped themselves around me, not only with words and deeds, but I don't care what anyone says, sometimes it's just time to pray. And that prayer worked. That prayer lifted us up. That prayer started HBCUs, that prayer sustained HBCUs, and we're all benefactors of that. This is a better country because of the HBCUs. It pricks the consciousness of America and forced us to move in the directions that we are in now. And so thank you for gracing me in Gracie Mansion. And I thank our partners. I thank the other communities that saw that if we wanted to be the America that we wanted it to be, we had to correct the wrongs of the past. And that was some of the things that Lisa Zomberg has talked about. Thank you for being here. And I thank you for acknowledging the great work of HBCUs. Let's continue to accomplish and move forward. There are a lot of young minds that are waiting to be nurtured with the possibilities that are in front of them. Thank you very much. You know, this is my dude, man, you know. And I'm just really happy to honor all the great work that you have accomplished and will continue to do in this city. And I just want to read, whereas this fund has such a monumental impact, in part because of its HBCU network. Through this special relationship, its 37 member institutions receive additional support that helps them support student retention and success. Currently, the 6-year graduation rate for the colleges that are involved of African American scholarship recipients is 70%. My administration is determined to uplift our youth and increase our graduation rates. Education is a lifelong journey, and New Yorkers must put their best foot forward. That is why my team and I have invested $300 million in city and state educational programs for young residents and Save for College initiatives. In recognition of the 80th anniversary, I'm pleased to commend this time-honored institution for its commitment to forging a fairer, more inclusive future for all. Now I, Eric Adams, the mayor after David Dinkins, proclaim today the 80th anniversary commemoration day.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'm feeling like this is home, you know. This is my second time speaking from this podium in Gracie Mansion. You know, this is our 80th anniversary. We were founded by black college presidents, many of whom were in the South, most of whom were in the South. But in order for us to do our business and to be successful, we had to come to New York and establish our headquarters here, which we did in 1944. We actually owned real estate on FDR Drive with the Urban League, which we sold. The only bad decision that we have made, and we will be opening up our offices that are now way downtown on 125th Street in the Urban League building. As soon as Mark Morial gets it finished. And we will be on the same floor with the administrative offices of Studio Museum in Harlem so that we can look out on the real estate on 125th Street. So we're coming back home. We're coming back home to Harlem. HBCUs are largely in the South. But you know, for 150 years, our graduates have been coming north. And they've been coming to the city of refuge, the city of opportunity, as you said, the greatest city in the world, New York City. And I think a lot of the success that this great city has enjoyed has been a result of the talented people who came here and lived their lives here. You named a number of people who are well known, but it's really the teachers and the doctors and the government employees, the people who are the backbone of the middle class in America, who for generations came and found an opportunity to put their educations to work in New York City. New York City gave a great deal to them, but they gave a great deal to New York. So I think that HBCUs are a part of the foundation of this great city. You've got great universities in this town, and I attended one of them that's been in the news recently for graduate school. But I'll tell you, I learned the power of service and leadership at an HBCU. And I will also say that I learned gratitude for getting an education at an HBCU. And I'll be leaving here this evening to go to Columbia, South Carolina, and I will give the graduation address at Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina. Then I will be going in another week to Raleigh, North Carolina, and speaking at Shaw. And then I've been invited to come back to my alma mater, Morehouse College, for their commencement, and I will not be giving the commencement address. That will be the President of the United States, but there will be 2 honorary degree recipients that day, Joe Biden and me. So I'm feeling pretty proud about that. But I'm also saying that because of your support, because of the recognition that this great city has given to UNCF and to HBCUs, HBCUs are now seen not as local schools, but a global brand. They're seen as the kinds of institutions that take people where they start and give them the resources and the capabilities to go where they aspire to be. And the sky is the limit. And the one thing that they also teach our students is that as they climb and aspire, they're always reaching back and lifting someone else. They're not just thinking about themselves. So I appreciate you doing what other mayors have done, but no one has done at the level that you've done it. And that is extending the recognition and the support to HBCUs and to UNCF. We are eternally grateful. And I promise we're going to keep sending talent. And we're also going to receive talent. Amir is an example of a young person who, because of the generous support of the Gray Foundation here in New York City, will have the chance to graduate from college debt-free. But he will have a big debt, and the debt is going to be a debt of gratitude to a community that gave him that opportunity. And I know that he, too, is going to lift while he climbs. Thank you, Mayor, for having me, and I'm waiting for my next invitation.
All right, one more time for our mayor, everybody, Mayor Adams. Dr. Lomax, let's give it up for Dr. Lomax again. And Lisa as well, thank you very much. And also shout out to Diego and Tony and Maurice. Thank you guys for always looking out for me. That concludes this part of the program, but I hope you're watching every platform on ABC News. Please look out for us. Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.